Welcome y'all to the Blackhoof Saloon, a Wild West Exodus podcast. Mosey on up to the bar and get yourself a bottle of firewater or a glass of sarsaparilla and listen to some good old yarns about adventures of law dogs, outlaws, and weird creatures. So set a spell, water your ride or your rider, and get ready to tune up your posses. This is the Blackhoof Saloon.
Alright, this is Brian Jedi Powell with the Blackhoof Saloon, and I have here is Dystopian Wars Hunt for the Prometheus 2-player starter set. Warcradle will send these out to those war hosts who wanted to purchase this set. Got them a little bit early, so we can start doing demos and stuff pretty quick. So we're going to do a little unboxing, and we'll discuss what they found in it. So I just picked it up today, so I haven't actually opened it. So what we'll do is you'll get to see what's inside as I open it. So I'm cutting off the plastic now. I was going to set up the camera on the tripod, but my tripod attachment to hold my phone, it broke. So, this might get a little awkward if I have to hold the camera with one hand and then do everything else one-handed. So, we'll see how this goes. Alright. So, Hunt for the Prometheus 2-player box set. It is packaged in a similar way as like the Posse sets are, but it's just a bigger box, right? So a standard box size is this big. And so this is one of the boxes of the terrain that I purchased that they made, the base inserts. So if you see, this set is 4 of these. So, yeah, it's got a lot of stuff in it. So, let's take this sleeve off. Alright, you can see the symbol, Warcradle symbol. Looks really good in silver with the black box. So here's the sleeve. On the back of the sleeve, obviously we get the rundown of what's in the box. Now you see there's quite a few of both factions for the ships. It shows the rundown of what's in the box here, and we're about to dive in and actually get to see it hands-on. And this box set is the Commonwealth faction and the Enlightened faction. The Commonwealth are going to be these ships over here. And you get 10 frigates. You get the ability to create 5 of the various cruisers. And then you get 1 battle cruiser. Or battleship. On the Enlightened side, you get a control ship. It's this one here with the little whale launching tubes. And then you get 3 of their cruisers. And then you get, I want to say 9 of their drone frigates. This last ship here is called a Hypate class generator ship. It's an experimental ship called the Prometheus, which is what this narrative box set's theme is. So the Commonwealth have stolen the Prometheus, and obviously the narrative campaign book that comes with this set details like a series of scenarios that were designed so you can play this theme, which is actually kind of cool. And I kind of appreciate that the 2-player box set's not just a box with a bunch of junk in it. It actually has a theme to it, and we get a second book that's in here that has a slew of different scenarios than are in the rule book. All right, so we got 3 of the medium bases. They're similar to the ones used in Wild West Exodus and Lost Earth Exodus. It's got really nice flair to it with the design on the edges of the bases. So if you haven't seen those before, that's what those are. The Enlightened fleet that you get in the box comes with the ability to have a carrier. So there's fighters that can be launched via the game system's SRS system. So it's basically a ship-to-ship way of, having some defense or a little bit of offense by use of a small squadron of fighters. And so these little bases will have base inserts that have the fighters on it. And I'll show you those as we get to that sprue. So the first sprue in here is the new War Cradle template. So Stuart's already said that this template is the new standard template, and so we'll be seeing these for in all the new games that are in the Dystopian Age. So we'll have this in the any future Wild West Exodus starter sets or Gubbins boxes. We'll have this new token. It's the same shape and size as the other one. It's just made a little bit different. What they did also is, instead of inserting in the starter a cardboard ruler, they've created a plastic template ruler. And it's neat. See how there's circles on the end here. So this is the first 5 inches, and the second 5 inches is on this side right here. And this round part snaps in, and it'll be able to spin. So you can, extend it out. But wait, there's more. You see here on this end, there's another little place that you can snap in a third wing. Well, the third one isn't here, but if you do pick up another set, the second arm has 11 through 15. So if you get a second starter set, you'll already be set to extend your template out to 15 inches. That's just neat. And at the top of this is the turning template. So the ships can't really turn on a dime because they're so large and lumbering in the water. So that's what the turning template's for, is to help you guide your ship in their turns if you're going to have your ships turn during a game. So this game has a very specific movement system. That way, when you're trying to move a certain way, that's going to be very important as you tactically try to play this game. So as you can see, there's like 2 large stacks of sprues in here. And I've already done a video, and we talked about the Commonwealth sprue. So this is going to be a stack of Commonwealth sprues. So I've already gone in depth in those, so we won't spend a whole lot of time talking about that. But on these sprues, you're going to have the 6 generators you see here, and you're going to have plenty of loadouts for your heavy turrets for the cruisers. Each one of these Commonwealth sprues can create 1 cruiser and 2 frigates. And I've already made those right up here at the top of my desk. This is what I've painted up my style for my Commonwealth cruiser. And I've even done magnets for the loadouts. So like my turrets will pop off with magnets. You see the magnet underneath. And I have a generator on the back of this heavy cruiser. That's the shield generator. So it's an example of what they look like after you built them. So here's one of 5 of these sprues that we get for the Commonwealth. And they stack really nicely because of these pegs right here at the end. So like when you're storing them, there's less chance of them, having a part break off or whatever. But so we can count that out. That's the 5 of these sprues. And again, if you have more questions about those sprues specifically, or want a little more, spend more time looking at that sprue, somewhere in the history on the Blackhoof Saloon, you'll be able to find that, or even diving into the 2 Dark Council, or even the Sturgeon Lounge, you'll be able to find the video that I did, and you'll be able to look at the sprue in depth. Alright, so here's the sprue that I haven't seen, because this one wasn't sent to me. So let me put a different background so we can see this a little easier. So what I'll do is I'll put this box behind it, so we'll have the black behind it, so maybe we can see this sprue a little better. Sorry for the blurriness right there. Alright, so here is the Enlightened sprue. If you look here, that is the fighter token. So it's the right size for the medium bases. That'll slot right into the medium base. And these are designed that they stack, just like the bases do. With that little bit on top of that base, it shouldn't have any problem for you to be able to stack your SRS tokens to keep your battlefield a little less cluttered. As you can see, adjacent to that, we have, I'll change my angle of my light. There we go. As you can see, there's 3 of their remote frigates. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And then all surrounded, you can see these are the weapon loadouts. So you can see there's like this type of cannon, and then there's this cannon, which has 3 different smaller bulbs, and this will just have the big one. So Chris says there's a little bit difference between the 2. I think it's range. So it looks like you got quite a few of the bubble balls for the ships that are on here. Okay, so this side, this is going to be the cruiser. And again, it has some options in there, whether or not you're going to be able to outfit it as a... see, right there, it has its own little allotment of the fighters. So that's actually the same sculpt as on these tokens here. And you'll be able to launch a fighter from the ship. It'll be neat. And once again, just like I talked about the Commonwealth cruiser and frigates, the details are stunning. You see some rivets. You can see the portholes all along this side of this. There's some more portholes. Some little torpedo launch tubes. Some more rivets. Way cool. Big cannon. Super sweet. So this is the Enlightened sprue, and you get 3 of these. So I'll move this box top off again, and so we'll be able to get into just moving the rest of these sprues out of the way. So we get 3 of the Enlightened sprue. Alright, so next up, dice. There are 2 packets of these dice. There's 20 dice in each one of these bags, so if you're going to split this set with a buddy, one of you get the Commonwealth, one of you get the Enlightened ships, you'll split these dice. And they package them separately. So 2 bags of dice. I know Stuart mentioned something about making sure that the dice, the colors they chose, and how deep the colors are, and then even the pearlescence was all chosen as a way to help those of us who play games with colorblindness issues. Will find these dice easier to read if it instead of just a stark white and just a pale red and pale blue. So they put some thought process in that. All right, so those are some first 2 bags of dice, and then there's 2 smaller bags of dice, and these are the critical damage dice. So there's 2 of those. Again, they went with black with a very bright green, orange, so they stand out. Shouldn't have any problem seeing that either. All right, there's a couple of resin bags in here. I'm going to set those aside, and we'll dive into the resins after we finish the rest of the stuff, because they'll take some getting into. All right, so there's two decks. Again, if you're splitting this with somebody, very easy to split. You each get your own thing of dice, and you'll get your own card deck. That makes it easy. So sharing is okay. You know, we learned that at a young age that we should share our toys. But when you're sharing a deck, your opponent and you aren't technically getting the same percentage chance at some of the good Valor cards. So truly you want to have your own. That way you have a better consistent percentage of getting the good cards out of the deck. Alright, so here is a cardstock, hard cardstock, cardboard token set. You can see there's some icebergs, and then there's 3 basically whales. These are the whales that the battleship control ship for the Enlightened. It launches whales that have been, I guess, enhanced with Carpathogenic type construct parts and weapons. So they're calling the Physeter constructs. So you get 3 of those. So when you're launching that certain type of weapon into the battlefield, you'll have tokens to be able to go with. So with that. Now there's only 1 of those. So something you're not going to be able to share technically with another player if you're splitting the box. Here's some condition tokens. So this is Dystopian Age tokens. You can see what clear says for use with Dystopian Wars, Lost World Exodus, Wild West Exodus, and other Dystopian Age games. So right now, those 3 are the ones, basically either already have product out or will shortly. Lost World Exodus is going to be using the same rule set as Wild West Exodus. So when that does come out as its own playable game, we'll see some additions for the rules for them specifically, but it'll be using the same platform. And also, they've figured out a way of using all 5 of these tokens for both games. Now, along the side here, you're going to see these tokens here. Without jumping in the book, I'm not really sure what those tokens are for. I'm assuming they may be like hull damage points, because it does look like something's punching through steel. So that's what those might be. And you get 2 sheets. So 1 for you and 1 for the person you're splitting with. Or like me, when you just got them both. You just keep a bunch. Okay, so here we go. We have the Dystopian Wars Hunt for the Prometheus Campaign book. And I say book, but it is bound. It's got staples on the end. So it technically is a book. And it's got a few pages in it, so we'll dive into it. And again, it's basically a way for you to intro into the game. So it has an introduction into the rules, cold rendezvous. It looks like it's like a narrative summary of what's going on. Kind of like a little sneak peek, kind of a fluff intro into this game. And the first scenario, HP1 is basically hunt for the Prometheus 1, escape the facility. So you and your opponent, Commonwealth player, you're playing the Prometheus. That's the only ship that you're using right now. The Enlightened player can use up to 2 cruisers and a unit of 4 frigates. And so your main focus in this scenario is mechanics exploring. You're exploring the mechanics of movement. So it's a way for you to slowly learn how to play the game if you play this little thing, right? Map shows you how to set up the board. And if you look, it shows you either 3x3 or 4x4. So obviously those are the 2 different formats they're most likely going to be playing this game in. Here's just a poster blow up of the cover of the box. Oh, it looks like HP2, Searching the Seas. And you see the Commonwealth player and the Enlightened player has different layout of what they're playing with. And it looks like this is going to... movement and shooting is what the mechanics will be exploring. HP3, Close Engagement. So you see now it's introducing the battleships. So it just a little bit more rules, a little more mechanics explored, SRS and assaults. So again, another neat little exploratory kind of in the rules and how to do engagements. And then there's the 4th scenario is the trap is sprung. And again, it's more stuff. They kind of is an opportunity to explore like the full game, right? So it's introducing the Victory and Valor decks, and it seems this is the Enlightened player earns 5 victory points if the Prometheus is destroyed. Okay, so this is all out. Let's blow up what the Commonwealth is trying to steal. So kind of neat. Okay, so that's the campaign book. Put that to the side. And then here's the rule book. So there's going to be two versions of this rule book. The other version that's going to be mailed out to everybody who participated in the promo leading up to this release. You can take a picture of an old book and submit that and post a picture of you on different social media sites. If you did that, you were going to get what's called the Dystopian Wars Salty Dog edition of the rules, and it'll have a slightly different cover, and but the inside is virtually going to be the same rules. It's just going to be in a different cover. But so here is the main rulebook. So we'll also get this rulebook in PDF soon. But really nice book. It's what we come to expect with the Balbus Sextus books that we've already had. Really nice art, really nice details inside. I did hear that they've added an index, which is really nice. And then throughout the book, they've added, this is a nice input, is they've added C2 during the discussion. So when you get to a certain part, if it's related to a different section of the rule book, they're telling you what page to jump to, which is great. That's a nice addition. I do believe that's they added it in this rule book based on some of the community kind of discussions and wishes for the books and for the rules to get, and that's one of the things, is a way to coordinate different sections, but they talk about the same thing. So that's really kind of cool. Here's an example picture of how the turning template helps you angle your ship correctly as you do any turns or moving. I do like the gray text, or the gray background is kind of nice. Here's them showing you how the torrent works. So that's kind of nice. and here's the encounters. As you can see, I'm already only 40-something pages in, and it goes to some type of page break. It shows you the picture, the poster, and then welcome to the dystopian age. And this is going to be the beginning of the fluff in this book. So the dystopian age description, that's the same one that's basically in the Wallace Exodus book. And then here, we're going to be jumping into the factions. And if you can see the rest of this book, so more than half of this book is just, your factions. And it's going to go into basically explaining your faction. So, and they do a really neat idea. The way they do this is sometimes it's actually like text from actual people in those factions, or people from another faction explaining what they've learned about the faction that you're reading about. It's really kind of a neat way. It forces the fluff into more of a immersive description of what you're looking at, instead of just this is a very impersonal description of what you need to know about the faction. It's actually like a super secret, like, dossier explaining the faction, because someone sent spies to learn as much as they could about that faction. So it's actually kind of neat read when you start reading the faction stuff. So that's the rule book. So I'll put that to the side. And like I said, saving the best for last. And these are the resins. So let's see, rather large hunk with lots of pieces. I believe that's the control ship. This is going to be the Commonwealth battleship, and this is the Prometheus. The big one right here is the Prometheus. So why don't we leave the Prometheus for last? Let's go ahead and look at this Ordello battleship. Again, sorry I'm doing this one-handed because I have to hold the camera with the other. Alright, so one of the things we also were told is the slots for the turrets. You can use the spare turrets from the plastic sprue on these hard points. And I'll show you an example of that in a sec. So it comes with 3 pieces, right? Here's a piece that slots into the back. It appears to be the smokestacks. And then this piece, it goes here, is actually the battleships. Like, here's a smokestack, you attach that there. And this is actually a cannon. This big thing here is some kind of like ice ray or something that some other people. So when I put this on, I will probably magnetize that. That way I can spin it around and go pew 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 pew, because why not, right? But as you can see, I'll grab a turret from above, and it slots in there perfectly, right? Now it doesn't have any magnets yet, but you can magnetize these as well. So I've got the little metal stud on the back of my turret. So if I embed a magnet inside the hole, it will slot in perfectly. So very good. So I'll put that back on my cruiser. You can also put generators here if you want, or more cannons. So here's some close-ups of this. Get some more. Get some better light. Look at the detail on this. Wow. Look at that. It is so cool. So I'm not really talking. I'm just like stunned at how awesome this is. Just amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my cruiser and bring it down so you can see what the cruiser size comparison with the battleship is. Obviously, they're sitting on a cutting board that we can measure these out. So the cruiser is 4 inches. That battleship is almost 5.5 inches. So it's just shy of 5.5 inches. But they carry some of the same design features. Obviously, they both have the big eagle in the front, because why not? They're awesome. Then if you come down, you can see each of the little triangle wedges. It's got these same type of broadside cannons. It's even got these little overhang things, right, with the little domes. I did mine in like blue domes, so not sure what they are, but they're blue domes. Has a very similar bridge, right? Now the difference is there's the engine smokestack here is the engine smokestack, where in this ship it's moved further back to make room for the big icy cannon. So yeah, very cool. It's a neat way of being consistent between the ships as they get bigger. And if we want, I can even pull down one of my frigates, because I also have the frigates painted. So, and if you look, the frigate is smaller than 2 inches, so just shy of 2 inches. Like I said, the sprues, the plastic sprues, you'll end up with 10 of these and end up 5 of these. I made the heavy cruiser, which has the turret attachment in the front and the back. Some of the options, you lose the turret in the front or you lose the turret in the back. And that's how the options kind of tweak out. One of the back ends has like a robust engine build on it, so it's considered like a fast cruiser. So it probably has a little more movement. But only has the one turret at the front. So here you go. That is the Commonwealth. Now we're going to switch over to the 2 remaining battleships. We have the control ship. Okay, so the control ship is the Enlightened ship that launches the Pfizer constructs, which are the whales that have been modified to be used as combat warriors, basically. Alright, so I'll slide these things out. So there's actually things to build on this one. So some of the pieces fell off the sprue, but we'll go through that in a second. Alright, so here is the control ship, and it is about the same length as the other battleship, so it's a little more than 5 inches, not quite to 5.5. But again, sick details. All the rivets, except these launch tubes. I'm sure these little cubbies are for the round turrets that you have plenty of on the plastic sprues, so I'm sure those plop in quite easily. Well, look at the engines on the back. Lots of little neat details to figure out the paint. Gonna be fun. Alright, so obviously we're missing a tube, so here's one of those little tubes, right? And if you look, it's got a wavy lines inside, so it signifies there's water in there. Well, why is there water in there? Well, because there's a whale that was inside here. So there's the whale, and it's actually being loaded from the cinder tank, which we can see another whale waiting to be deployed into a tube. And then the tubes are what launches. So the ship is in the middle of loading this tube, and it's got a big crane, right? So the crane inserts here, and so then you attach the whale to the crane, and the whale also has a tail that you have to attach as well. So that's also part of the crane, is holding by the tail, and it's inserting it in the tube, right? So if you please, it's to show you that that's how what's in one. It's giving you the heads up what's in the tubes, and this is how you launch. They launch from the tube out the front. So there's already a whale in this tube. So when you're, the front tube hatch opens and out goes the whale. Here's some walls that you insert around the engine plug here. That goes right there.
Thanks for stopping by the Blackhoof Saloon, y'all. We hope you enjoyed your visit. Feel free to get a hold of us with comments or questions via the interwebs and shoot us a telegraph at blackhoofsaloon@gmail.com. You can also find us on the Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Music for the podcast was provided for use by Ross Bugden and can be found at one of his YouTube channels, Ross Bugden Music or Ross Bugden Composer. Until your next visit, ride with the sun at your back and always roll those big crits.